Here from Bay Area Redwood, and what we do is we source building materials right here from the built environment. But first, what we're going to talk about is land acknowledgement problem. Here you see Cafe Alone, designed by Terremoto Landscape, and all of our furniture that was designed by Terremoto and then built from local materials, Redwood sourced right here throughout the Bay. Here you can learn a little bit more about Cafe Alone, and more specifically, actually the native peoples of this land. We also have a labor acknowledgement problem. So right here, you see actually Terremoto's land and labor movement, where they've started to talk about recognizing the people that actually go and build our landscapes that are designed. But what I actually want to talk about is the material acknowledgement problem. You know, if you want exotic hardwoods, there's a lot of suppliers over there that can help you with that. We're going to talk about local materials right here. Every day, we throw away urban trees and they just get chipped up. And that didn't really make any sense. So our idea is to recycle urban trees and ultimately turn that into lumber. One example is that you can actually see right here, we can take a tree right on someone's job site, the top left panel, we can mill it on the job site, turn it into a fence, and there's actually a fence detail, and it's all curly redwoods. It's pretty neat, that direct adaptive reuse right on that project. You know, we can source directly from individual homes. So this right here, you can see a 70-ton crane taking out a redwood tree that was impacting a foundation. A lot of misplanted trees, unfortunately, happened. And then that's a log loader that ultimately loaded those logs and took them to our log recycling yard. This is our log recycling yard out in Livermore in the East Bay. This is in June, and you can see it's starting to get started, right? Well, there's a larger opportunity here, which is sourcing from big developments. During redevelopment projects, like the Bishop Ranch 6 or BR6 development in San Ramon, they took down over 700 trees, and we were able to recycle about 50 of them. So if you see that high side end dump in red being loaded by the excavator, here it is in our yard, and in 9 months, we took in over 500 logs locally from the urban environment. My guess is that's probably 1% of all the logs that came down just, in those 9 months. So we can make dimensional lumber out of those. Here you can see a Lucas mill. It's pretty neat. You can actually see the circular saw blade as it goes through and creates 2x4s. We can create slabs, so you just put a different attachment on that mill. This is a Wood-Mizer LT70 bandsaw mill. It's pretty awesome. It has a hydraulic log roller, so you can see on the side where it's been cut on the right, and then a few of the smaller slabs that have been taken down. Ultimately this material goes into commercial projects. This is one over at Stanford new hospital opened in Redwood City. We did a whole bunch of stumps and planter boxes for them in the back. Not only do we supply materials, but we can fabricate to spec. So here you can actually see some of the drawings that we got from Terremoto. And right here, here's the joint detail. Here's the actual joint, and you can see some of the other pieces. And, we really have a need for green spaces, right? Not only do we need to use green materials in those spaces, our urban forest canopy is declining. And so it relies on y'all as landscape architects to ultimately design these places. So, don't build like a billionaire, right? And throw out the kitchen sink and build, beautiful parks, but they aren't necessarily great for the environment. You can take a place like, a platform in Culver City, which Terremoto Landscape worked with Angel City Lumber, another similar company to what we do down in LA, and created this urban oasis. So look for spaces that, have been neglected and turn them into beautiful places. In San Francisco, there's talk right now of the Golden Gate Greenway and ultimately shutting down Golden Gate Avenue to create a pedestrian walking space. And that's currently going through. There's a lot of local nonprofits down the bottom right corner, and we've committed to donating materials for that. You can see this actually in Oakland right now in the Temescal neighborhood. In the top left, you'll see a closed street, and actually just right nearby a parklet that's going up and was just built in the past couple of days over at Snail Bar. And you can see the fabricator of that and some of the close-up details. We really need to utilize spaces that, why build environments for cars? We want to build environments for people. You'll see our materials in parks throughout the Bay Area. Here's a project we worked with Surface Design on in the city of Hayward. This is called Hayward Linear Park, and I call it from render into reality. So I got a really cool shot here where you see a rendering and then reality. By the way, don't notch this and then install it. Notch it at the site. Big learning lesson. And you can't afford a big park, start small, right? There's Test Plot by Terremoto. They're going out and doing absolutely amazing things. If you haven't checked it out, just Google it, right? One is right near my neighborhood in Castro Valley, in Alameda County, so like 20 miles that way, is a pocket park. It's just this weird triangular piece of land right next to the Castro Valley Library. And we donated some stumps and helped them make a sign, and just took literally, again, a useless piece of land. And my guess is it's under $500 in materials is what they put together for just a beautiful space. Over in the Oakland Hills in Joaquin Miller Park, Friends of Sawzall Creek, really amazing nonprofit that manages the Sawzall Creek watershed. We've helped about half a dozen Eagle Scout projects there. And you can see, this is your standard split rail fencing. Those are actually live edge posts and live edge rails made from the offcuts of our milling process. And then really excited for this one in the bottom right over at Verde Elementary in Richmond, a low-income and disadvantaged community. You can really see there's not many trees there, which happens in these communities. And what they're gonna do is there's just blacktop, and that asphalt just absorbs heat during the summer, and that's not good whatsoever, right? So they're gonna be planting trees temporarily in these boxes, and these are upcycled fruit boxes that they got for free, and again used our scrap wood, the offcuts from the milling process, to make ultimately something that's going to house plants later to be planted. One of my favorite projects, which I realized we forgot to pass around the prop here. We passed around late, I guess.
Very heavy.
It's really heavy, yeah. So come here. So life gives you lemons to make lemonade now. So there's a lot of blue gum eucalyptus here. It's a tree everyone says can't be used. It's really heavy. Let me know if. Yeah, and so this is at Albany Hill Park in the city of Albany, 15 miles that way. And so you can actually mill the wood, and so it's pretty cool. We basically brought a skid steer on site. CAL FIRE actually took down the logs for them due to fire safety. We milled them up, and again, we can bring the mill to the job site. So kind of to recap our products and services, we can help with tree removal, whether an individual home or large developments. We do custom millwork, material supply, materials fabrication, project management, and green building materials consulting. And if you have an office here in the Bay, we'd be happy to do a lunch and learn. They're really tasty. And if you give us your logo, in a vector file, we put it on a charcuterie board for you and engrave it. And then, who doesn't love free food, right? And then if you want to connect with us, here's my information. So thank y'all very much. Really appreciate the opportunity. And I'm gonna grab a photo too.